when you come across people that are relatively early on in their career, maybe even someone that's still in high school, they're in their mid to late teens, and they're thinking about different career options. Perhaps it's a neighbor or a family member or the son or daughter of a coworker, and they've heard a little bit about data centers, especially in the last year or two, given everything that's going on with NVIDIA and AI. And they're curious about what kinds of roles, what kind of career paths they might be able to have, especially if they're less technical and they're leaning more towards things like marketing or product management or channel partnerships or something. What advice would you offer to someone in that scenario?
Yeah, it's something that comes up quite regularly. In a Nomad Futurist ambassador and an Infrastructure Masons founding member in Australia. And that's something that they're very supportive of, is getting new talent and not poaching or acquiring talent from another DC business itself. It's pulling and supporting, as I said, an engineer who's come from the refrigeration or the cooling infrastructure or UPS related to the electrical industry, coming together into the DC space. One thing I do is general books. There's a couple of data center books that are going around now, written by some amazing authors in our industry. That's something that's great to read, and I'll send to Joshua a link to add them into something to do. If you're bored, you can read them at night. There's more and more, interest in staff across the DC sector. So I try and find what you're interested in doing. I guess that's something that's fundamentally important. DC is such a vast word, much like the cloud. They're just a word that means many different things to many different people. But there are some key areas that we need staffing to start the ball rolling. If you look at we'll call it a concierge role, you get them in hotels and things like that. It's the meeting and the greeting. It's the being able to support with simple pieces of customer service and tickets and things like that. If you don't have experience in the DC industry, not many people do when you first start out. It's nothing that you can jump into, as we just mentioned. So having a background in customer service is key. Sales is amazing because there's a lot of people that are wanting to find key strategic sales partners. We're also going the technical side. So if you've got an IT background, a networking background, it also helps. So having some of those people wanting to expand their horizons and wanting to go, I want to try something different, is perfect for the DC industry. So what I suggest is, when they reach out, what are you interested in doing, or what have you got background in? And there will be a DC role for you with the amount of construction and operational openings coming up the next sort of 12, 18 months. The industry hasn't been so strong. We keep saying that year on year, it's always the data center industry is growing heavily, and it hasn't stopped. I think that's the thing, is people sort of think that at some point it's going to drop and dip. We're lucky enough that in the last sort of 2 or 3 years, it's been even stronger than it has been on the previous 2 or 3 years. And the demand for AI, the demand for more localized, regionalized, sovereignty-related businesses, not to mention the defense networks that are growing out to support more of their digitization, and then all the other businesses that are moving away from what was 100% cloud to hybrid cloud. We now need to have some of those technicians and the staff and the engineers and the people that want to aspire to become senior leaders in marketing and senior leaders in as a general operations or technical roles to start somewhere. And this is a perfect time to work your way through it. So I don't know if I answered in too much detail, but essentially, there is a role fit for everyone. Just depends on where you want to start. Sometimes you got to start at the bottom, but in the DC industry, it doesn't take long for you to go to the top because we're growing that quickly.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. Not only are there a number of roles that they could potentially step into on an entry-level basis, but it could be something related to IT. It could be facilities related. It could have something to do with construction, real estate, the capital markets side of it. There's a big portfolio company in the US that I see a lot of interns coming in and out this time of year from all of their offices in the US and in the UK. So yeah, there's a lot of different opportunities to step into depending on what they're interested in, what they're studying in school. And then imagine too the variety of roles and opportunities will depend too on just simply the size of the company. In a smaller startup company, they'll wear a ton of different hats. In a larger company, they'll probably be a lot more specialized. So,
yeah, we're seeing a significant amount, and it's in a lot of the newspapers or online articles, that data centers are, a very exciting time. And some of those articles are very old, and you think about it, it's like DCs have been around for a long time, and the real estate play has been around even longer. Digital Realty and Equinix and others have been buying up sites and blocks of land to landlock for many years. So because it's now very much a public in your face and it's on radio and things like that for, little snippets of 10-minute talks or things like that, it has more attraction and more awareness. I think that's something that's also grown the excitement around it, is not just, the DC industry and the internet's been around for, we'll call about 35 years. So there has to be some sort of base computer rooms or server farms of sorts for that time. It's gone from a market of multiple single megawatts to multiple hundreds of megawatts in that duration. It's very short, but it does exist. And I think that's what's got people excited around it as well.
So that's great advice for someone that's brand new to this industry, really early on in their career.